what you're going to be talking about today.
Today, I want to talk about how you can become more confident when you go out and do sales. So when you're going out to meet people for the first time, whether it's networking or meeting with a prospect or even a client that you haven't talked to for a very long time, what are some of the things that are important to know before you go out and meet with them? Because we know that the more prepared we are, the more confident we are, and that confidence comes through. And you want to be confident with the people that you are meeting with because people buy and know, like, and trust those that show up more confident and know their material and know who they are and why they're there. And that's what I want to share with people today is that there are ways of sharing that and ways of talking to people that allows you to not be salesy and allows you to be more authentic and really come with a purpose. And I'm going to be sharing some of those tips that I share with my clients as well today.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So, okay, so let's kick off with our first question. And so, Brenda, sorry, Rhonda, I want to just ask you, what inspired you to start your sales training and coaching business?
Yeah, great question. What I realized is how many amazing business people that there were out there, these small businesses, entrepreneurs and solopreneurs that were responsible for doing sales and top building that top line revenue for their company, but had never had any type of formal sales training. And they were struggling and they were frustrated. And they were actually, there was a potential for them to lose their businesses if they weren't able to go out and start to do sales. We're not talking about marketing and we're not talking about, social media. We're talking about what happens when the phone doesn't ring or what happens when the phone rings and you don't know what to say when the call comes back. So I realized that so many people out there just don't have the training. And it reminded me of when I first started in sales. Basically, I was 24 years old and I started my first sales job. And my onboarding was a tour of the hotel, a bunch of brochures. There's your office, there's your desk, there's your files. Good luck. And they threw me into the lions. And I still to this day cannot believe that they sent me out to meet with some of their top accounts with no training. And I did okay. I was working for a hotel that had just put like $10 million into this gorgeous resort. So I was making some sales, but I was also losing sales and I didn't know why. And I was incredibly frustrated. And it wasn't until I changed companies that I got all of this incredible sales training under my belt. And I realized we're not born knowing how to sell. Sales is a skill, just like any other skill that we do. So it doesn't matter if you're doing marketing and video and the things that you do, there's a process, there's a framework that if I could help other people learn what I learned, that's going to open up the doors for them. So seeing their frustration, knowing that I could make a difference, knowing that I could take everything that's up here and make it not easy, because sales is not easy. There's a lot of rejection, there's a lot of challenges in sales. But what if I could make it simplified? What if I could give them a framework and a what if this happens? What do you do in that scenario? So that promoted me back in 2019 to start this business, to start helping those people that I respected and wanted to help them become more successful in what they were doing.
Okay. That's great. And I mean, the thing is the sales, it's such an important part. And I always feel like, you need to know your process.
Yeah.
And I'm probably a bit processy in that I want to know what are the steps. And some people are like that, and it's not necessarily that they don't want to buy, they're making excuses, but I'm very much like if I know what those steps are, I can kind of see that in my mind and figure out, okay, yes. And so I think that, some people I'm some people who don't know what that is. I've got a three-step system, I've got a five-step system, I've got a seven-step system, or however it is that you do it. But I
Yeah.
think it's important to know that and to know, what is your process, from the point of, talking to your client or potential customer up to, you making a sale. So what are the steps in between? I think that's kind of a really important thing, and it's something that you should know as a business owner if you're doing that, because people, like you say, people do buy people, but they also if you sound floundery in in what it is that you're trying to, that's going to make you feel uncomfortable and also like, can I trust this person? Is this credible? So I think, like you said about, being passionate and knowing that, I think that's important. It's important. So make sure to subscribe to the Best Minds TV YouTube channel by just clicking on the subscribe button below this video.